Hello and welcome to the Fulltime Hangout, Arsenal versus Liverpool. I'm joined here with Moran and Rayhan. What a game, lads. 4-1 against Liverpool. You cannot ask much more than that on an early kickoff. I'll start with you, Rayhan. Usually with early kickoffs, Arsenal aren't great with those, but it really came out of the gate strong today. Couldn't get an early goal, but we played pretty well right off the start.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it really made up for that 5-1 defeat last season, especially for an early kickoff. I think Liverpool had it coming, man. They didn't deserve anything out of the game, and I'm glad we didn't give it to them because we had a good spell in the first half, the first, opening moments. But then I was getting a little concerned that we hadn't scored. I thought it would be another one of those Man United games, another one of those Arsenal games where we dominate and we fail to put the game to bed, but thankfully we did in the end, and that's all that counts.
Moran, going to you. Lots of good performances today. Can you highlight some of your favorite ones? Ozil had a good match. Bellerin played pretty well. Who else?
Yeah, Ozil. I wasn't that high on Ozil, especially on the first half, but he did balance it out in the second half. I'd say my top two performers from today were probably Sanchez and Bellerin. I think they were just out of this world. I think Bellerin, apart from the penalty he gave up, I think he covered Sterling at ease at times. His pace matched Sterling, yard for yard. And Sanchez was he returned form. He just the return of the Sanchez of the early portions of the season, lovely goal, and he was just all over the pitch running the show.
Yeah, touching on that Bellerin performance, when he's going forward, he's so used to going down the line and exploiting his pace, but mixing it up a little bit, cutting in and shooting with his left foot really adds a different element to that game because defenders can't cheat, and they'll give him lots of space now because he can cut in to use his pace down the line. I thought Mesut Ozil today was amazing. He was running the show. Some of his turns in the midfield today were absolutely fantastic. And when we needed that second goal just to kind of put the game out of reach against Liverpool, he delivered with that free kick. What about you, Rayhan? What performances were you high on today?
I think the real positives today would probably be Coquelin, as usual. He really nullified Sterling and any other threats that Liverpool posed. Ozil was fantastic today. Giroud, of course, getting that final goal. I'm really happy for him to get that goal too. I mean, he's been on sublime form.
Yeah.
Let's see, Sanchez was good, I think, in the second half. But I think a weak point today would probably be Aaron Ramsey.
Yeah.
I think he was having one of those Ramsey days where just wasn't quite up to par. And he could have cost us a few times, and he gave the ball away quite a few times as well. But apart from that, it was a pretty solid performance.
Touching on that Giroud performance, what is it, 7 goals, 6 goals in his last 6 games, something like that. Unbelievable scoring record, and he did get a lot of stick, obviously, for that Monaco performance. We always return to that, but he was out for 3 months, Moran. We had a little discussion on this panel before we went live. Is Giroud a world-class striker? I'm saying he's playing like one. Right now, I think he's definitely top 10 strikers in the world. You had to disagree with that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to disagree, but I'm not going to, accept that notion because, top 10 strikers, there's so many strikers in the world, especially at this rate. They're playing well. You got the guy from Wolfsburg who you can make an argument has been the best striker in 2015, Bastos, but it's too hard to put top 10 striker in the world at this point. You got to look at the end of the season and then really put a summary of it all. But Giroud, his scoring rate at this moment in time has been great. He's been scoring. It feels like each match he seems to put one in the back of the net, and he's starting to do the little things that really are the Arsenal fans are starting to grow to love about him. His work rate, it's back. The criticism from the Monaco game, his work rate wasn't there, but he's tracking back. You see at times when Liverpool on a counter, you can see Giroud is hustling and backtracking. So it's a great sight to see. It's just hopefully we've seen this year, prior years, that Giroud hasn't been able to score against the big teams. He's scored against every big team this season apart from Chelsea. So if he can continue to edge closer to that clinical label, then I think we can start talking to him in a world-class sort of view.
Rayhan, on the Giroud point, not only is the goals coming, but I think his hold-up play has been a lot better too. he always tries these flicks, one-touch flicks. And last season, the percentage of those that worked out was pretty low. But this year, watching the game today, I can't really think of a time where he actually gave the ball away today. Whereas last season, you'd maybe one of every 3 or 4 of those flicks would work out. But now it seems like it's a good 75-80% chance of happening. His link-up play with Ozil and Sanchez is great. What are your opinions on Giroud?
First of all, I want to say that at this moment in time, I would say that Giroud is world class. I mean, he's simply unplayable at the moment. If you look at his all-round game, his passing is so on point. He tracks back from time to time and he defends rigorously. He makes use of his strength and physicality in the box and outside the box. He's scoring goals. He's creating chances. He's doing everything and more that you can possibly ask from a striker, from a centre forward. So on that front, he is fantastic. And we really need to make the most of him while he's in this rich vein of form, I think.
Yeah. Touching on the Liverpool squad today, Moran, one thing that was apparent to me after watching this game is Philip Coutinho is an absolute fraud. Sure, he'll score some world-class goals once in a while, but consistently, I don't think he can be a top player. He gave the ball away so many times today. And let's talk about the man that had all the attention going into the match, Raheem Sterling. Could he even make it? Could he even crack the starting lineup at Arsenal right now, Moran? Would you want to see him as a new signing at Arsenal? What are your opinions on Raheem Sterling?
Well, yeah, at this moment in time, Sterling's hit a sort of a sour patch of form. But as of late, especially in the past 2 games, Liverpool have hit a sour patch of form. But Sterling's promise is just like the sky's the limit for this kid. I think he won Young Player of the Year. He's just got so much looking ahead for him. Can he break the Arsenal squad at this moment in time? Can he start it over Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain? There can be 2 sides to that question, but his promise and potential alone is such a intriguing look on things. So I think his talent, he can beat you, he can take over games at times. It was evident last season. I would love to see Sterling in the squad at Arsenal. Will it happen? Probably not, but having his talent at the club and his potential it could only be a surplus.
With the resources it would take to get a Raheem Sterling, as Moran said, the potential is there, but he is only 20 and he won't be hitting his prime years for another couple years. With the squad outlook that we have now, I think we should put our resources to maybe a more win-now type signing, maybe a Marco Reus, something like that. What are your opinions on that situation? Where do you want us seeing us spend our money?
Well, to be honest, I don't put much attention to the whole Raheem Sterling thing. I think he and the media are both just having fun with each other. It's getting quite flirtatious in the media now. Because really, Sterling he's just playing everybody at the moment in the news. So I don't know. I think Marco Reus would be a better investment, because if you were to invest a large sum of money, Raheem Sterling, you may not get the return that you hope for. I mean, it could potentially be underwhelming. It's difficult to say. I mean, for sure the potential is there, but I don't think his attitude and mentality quite fits in with the Arsenal mentality. I don't know. That's just me, but he doesn't seem like he'd fit in that well. And look, I mean, even Theo Walcott's struggling to make it into the squad now, and I mean, it's tough to say. I mean, I don't put much into the whole Raheem Sterling thing, but I would probably take Marco Reus, to be honest, to answer your question.
Going back on the performance, Moran, nothing more you could really ask for. We had a little bit of a dodgy period, I don't know, around the half an hour mark, but really got it together, got those goals before the end of the half. Off the early morning kickoff, you really can't ask for much more. The movement was really good. Sanchez, Ozil, free-flowing movement going forward. But in that second half, when Flamini comes on, it really does change the game in a negative fashion. What did you think of Arsene Wenger's substitutions? It was good that Danny got a run out, but I think when Flamini comes on to the pitch, it really just brings the level down. It's kind of like we're playing with 10 men. What are your thoughts on the substitution?
I was a little surprised that Flamini came on, especially so early. I think I speak for a lot of Arsenal fans. I think we were all, or at least I was expecting Thomas Rosicky to come on. because he provides the same sort of thing that Ramsey does. Flamini doesn't really provide that forward mentality, so it was a little surprising to see that substitution so early on. But I think Wenger did, he hit it bang on. I don't know what happened to Koscielny. Suppose he picked up a groin injury, but he brought on Welbeck at just about the right time. He had a good run out. Unfortunately, he didn't put one himself in the net. So, but I think Wenger did. I think all around he had a good performance as a manager today.
Yeah. Let's touch on Danny Welbeck today, Rayhan. I just see bags of potential from him. What do you think needs to happen for him to fulfill that? Because if you look at his physical stature, he's a big guy. It's the strength like Giroud, and he's got the pace to go with it. He's just oozing potential, but what needs to happen for him to really kick on?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think with regards to Welbeck, I'm not sure what kind of mold he fits into.
Yeah.
Because he's not that typical, 20 to 30 goal a season striker. And I don't know, it's just really difficult. He's so ambiguous, Welbeck, because he's a striker that kind of plays like a midfielder, but in the final third, if you know what I mean. Like it's odd. I think Welbeck has to really commit to a certain position, and that has to do with coaching as well. Arsene Wenger has to. I mean, I don't know what Arsene Wenger's plans are for Welbeck, but I mean, if we do want to fulfill that proper out-and-out striker role, then Welbeck has to absolutely commit to that. I still think Welbeck's weak point is probably his dribbling. I mean, he has the pace, but his control, his close range control, is probably not as good as Giroud. And I mean, if you look at Giroud, for a big guy, he has like a feather touch, on the ball. Like it's such a sweet touch when it comes to passing and creating chances and those little flick-ons, which we don't really see from Welbeck at the moment. But he's still young, and whether he develops into a good striker remains to be seen.
Yeah. Moran, after that first goal, the first thing that came to my head after that Hector Bellerin goal was, could Carl Jenkinson really do that? Could Carl Jenkinson really do that? And I think that's another credit to Arsene Wenger. A lot of people said it was kind of a short-sighted decision to give Jenkinson on loan, but Bellerin has really flourished in that right-back position. He has all the qualities to be a world-class right-back. Do you think he'll get there?
Oh, Arsenal do mold their players into world-class players, but I hope so. He oozes with potential, like you said. He can go forward. He's got the pace to backtrack. He's got it all. He really got it all. I hope so, but I'm like you. I don't know if you are, but I'm a big fan of Carl Jenkinson. I think he from the first day back in 2011 when I saw him, I thought he just had the look of a top quality EPL right back. Will he fulfill it? I don't know with Bellerin now in the picture. So, but I do highly rate Jenkinson as a prospect in the EPL as a right back.
But Rayhan, you got to go with Bellerin over Jenkinson in my opinion. Just the difference in potential. Jenkinson might have the potential to be a good player, but Bellerin has the potential to be a great player, I think.
Honestly, I don't even think it's an issue of Bellerin over Jenkinson. I think it's between Jenkinson and Callum Chambers, to be honest. I mean, they're two different styles of right backs, to be honest. Jenkinson's the big, strong one, probably the guy that you want to defend against Stoke with. And Bellerin's more for those other intricate teams with a lot of pace. And I think Debuchy fits into that mold too, or somewhere in between. But I think, personally, I'd take Jenkinson over Callum Chambers at right back, and then watch Callum Chambers develop into a centre back, to be honest. We'll see.
Other performances, Santi Cazorla, I think, had a little bit of a slow first half, but he picked it up. He's really been the engine behind our team, and on this last stretch since Christmas where we've really picked it up, I think he's been the player that's really sparked it for us. The close control, I like him in that deeper midfield role. In the first half, I thought he was a little bit of a liability defensively, but he picked it up, and I thought he had a good performance, and probably one of the most underrated players in the Arsenal squad today, Monreal Moran. I think he's done everything to deserve a new contract. He's really outplayed himself and separated himself from Gibbs.
Oh, sorry, yeah. I just mentioned how Bellerin did well in covering up Sterling the entire match. Monreal did his part against Sturridge when Sturridge came on in the second half. He just, when you look at Monreal, you don't really scream a great footballer because just his look, he's a mini version of a Peter Crouch. He, he's never really one of the first choice options for the Spanish national team. But this season, you can't. What more can Monreal do at left back? He separated himself, like you said, from Kieran Gibbs. It's hard. You can't really think of a better left back in the EPL this season. He's just done his part going forward, tracking back. That goal against Manchester United will stick in my mind for a long time. So, Nacho Monreal, he's really, really impressed this season.
All right, I think that's about it. Rayhan, any last words from you?
Well, to sum up, it was a great performance. I'm glad we didn't get discouraged by the fact that we hadn't scored when we had that opening barrage, I guess. We were playing so well in the first few minutes. I'm glad we didn't sort of take a step back. I'm glad we pushed on and decided to really put the game to bed. And yeah, hopefully we can kick on from this and keep getting those wins. And I hope the results for the rest of the season go our way.
Moran, title challenge?
It's a little wishful thinking at this moment in time, but why not? I think some pundits, not pundits, but Canadian sportscasters are saying how maybe this is a sort of role Arsenal can embrace. No pressure at all. They're really lurking behind it all. But in my opinion, I'm taking it one game at a time. Next week, Burnley away. It might not seem that difficult of a fixture, but a team as desperate and so near the relegation zone as Burnley, who have gotten results against the big teams, it is a fixture that I'm really worried about. A team, Arsenal usually, come out small in these types of games where the small teams need a big result. So hopefully they can put out a performance similar to today.
Yeah, Burnley got a result against Manchester City at Turf Moor. But thanks for
Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Don't forget that was an impressive performance as well.
Thanks for joining us today for watching the Arsenal versus Liverpool full-time hangout. Comment on whether you think we can go on and have a title challenge or if that's just wishful thinking on my end. But thanks for joining us, and until next time, up the Arsenal.